Islay Wharton, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Look, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you here. Look, I read on your LinkedIn profile you're a brand strategist, a designer, and a director.
Yeah.
But I know from when we caught up, you have a really good creative marketing brain and a strategist brain. So I wanted to give you on the podcast. One, because you reached out, and I thought that was really, really cool. But I think more conversation needs to be had with business owners around brand and actually how it can help them. I think a number of businesses are doing it wrong, not their fault. So let's work today, have a great conversation, but let's help some people
Yeah.
with business owners what they could do practically to actually grow their business by growing their brand.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, brand is such a big unknown for so many people, especially even people who are directors, even people who've been in business, even people who've been alongside marketing for their whole career. It can still be such an abstract, unknown topic because it can encompass so much. And so I find in my work, a lot of my energy goes into educating and
Yeah.
bridging that gap for business owners, business leaders, and what we understand as brand and how much we know it brings value to
Totally.
business.
So good. I got a confession though, because I was working in the corporate world, I was working in sales. Then I kind of saw where marketing was happening in the corporations, and like they were doing all this brand stuff, and it didn't really help the business owners I was looking after, which were small to medium sized businesses. So anyway, I went away. A couple of guys taught me how to write direct response copy. So I got good at writing direct response copy and actually left my corporate world to write direct response copy. Um, and I just thought brand was a waste of time. And because I just saw when you could write direct response copy and you could test and measure ads, you could actually make money.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward 15 years later, I know I was wrong to think that direct response was the only way. And it was really interesting because we started to grow a business, and started to see the value of doing more brand kind of marketing and building our brand. It really, really started to solidify trust and who we were and our identity in the marketplace. So, yeah, I'm an old school direct response guy,
Yeah.
but I understand it now.
Yeah.
But I'm always learning. So, one of the reasons I want to have a chat is always curious to learn how brand plays a part for a business owner. So, yes, we're gonna have a good chat.
Yeah.
Where did you learn what you were doing though? Like, did you go to school as far as branding and like, is there a degree that you did for it? Like,
No.
no?
This is just lived experience. And so I have an uncompleted design degree. Years ago, I would never have told anybody. It was very
Yeah.
bit of imposter syndrome, to be honest with you. But it took a long time of, I left study and started a business, which
Yeah.
is a bit
Cool.
crazy. Wasn't my life plan.
Wasn't?
It was
No?
not. I would never finish something without
Yeah.
completing it.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing, and I'm really happy I did that
Yeah.
because what it meant is that I learned how to design, learned how to communicate with clients, learned how to craft a business around what's going to be the best result for the people
Yeah.
I'm doing work for, rather than, and there's nothing wrong with this, it's a different route, but I didn't work in the industry. I didn't get taught these processes and systems and just
Cool.
adopt it in my own
Yeah. Yeah.
business. I figured out what was going to be best based on the need. And so now I'm in a situation where I really back the way we go about things and the approach because
Yeah.
I know
Nice.
it brings the results.
Yeah. So why did you start a business? Like, what was the driver?
I had horrible experiences working for other people, like really bad.
Bless it.
And
Love it.
alongside that, I had this need, I had this deep need to start something of my own.
Yep.
And I didn't know
Where did that
that-
come from?
I don't know. I
So
don't
did you have
know.
parents and stuff in business or?
I do have a bit of family history of entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Like there was something in the blood.
Yep.
But it's just I just had this need. I was like a teenager and I was like, I want to put my effort and energy into something
Nice.
that's my own, that I can like take ownership of. And so yeah, I just started doing design work on the side, and then it very quickly was like, oh, this is the thing.
Yep.
This is the thing. And then I was still like applying for jobs here and there. I worked a bit in hospo. And I just, like I said, had some horrible experiences, was just not treated very well, and put a lot of time and energy into working for people and didn't get, a lot of reward from it.
Yeah.
And so I got to a point where I was like, I need to work for somebody else again.
Nice.
I would never do it. And so here we are.
So what were the steps when you started building your own business? What did you start to do? Like, what was the
I mean, I would do things a little bit different now,
Mm.
obviously, with a bit of experience. But at the time, I Googled how to start a business in New Zealand.
Really?
Literally just
I love
Googled my
that.
way through it. I watched a lot of YouTube videos
Yep.
and I just put out there, I use a lot of social media and just put out there, I offer graphic design work.
Nice.
And then that really quickly turned into brand focused design work.
Cool.
And so I've end up doing a lot of websites, a lot of other like in the graphic design space for businesses. But in recent years, it's really honed in on brand and brand strategy.
So did you have an eye for that? Like, was that why you?
Yeah, so
Yep.
my parents are really artsy.
Yep.
My dad's a really incredible oil artist.
Oh, cool.
Paints, like New Zealand wilderness landscapes.
Wow.
And so I grew up in that environment, grew up going to galleries, grew up having family be like, "Are you an artist too?"
Yeah.
My dad. And that's really nice, but also it's a bit intimidating. So I was always an artsy kid.
Yep.
But I really, really needed what I spent my time and energy doing to be really meaningful. Like, I'm not putting down art by any means. It brings a lot of value, but I wanted something that had like tangible impact that I
Yep.
could track. And so I totally stumbled into brand. I totally stumbled into business ownership, but found after the fact, oh, this is a creative outlet.
Yeah.
And it's that impact and
That's
genuine
cool.
help to people. And I've found since running a business that I actually like business maybe more than design.
Yeah.
Like it's really
Yeah.
just I fell into it, but it's been the most beautiful like combination of everything for what
That's
I
cool.
want in life.
What was one of the things you learned early on about being in business?
Oh my goodness, everything. Like it just like learning on the job. I think some of the best some of the best things for me have been who I'm spending time with
Nice.
and who like it is the real thing of like iron sharpens iron. Like who you spend your time with, you become more like, which we all know that and experience that in life. But I think in business it can be quite an isolating space. And
Totally.
if you've found that too, like if you're not having conversations with people who are also in business, also ambitious, also going after something. I mean, there's nothing wrong with people being employed, but if you're only talking about business stuff with people who are employed, there's just a different frame of reference.
Totally.
And so it's really important to surround yourself with people who are in a similar space.
Yeah.
And that's where I've found so much value.
That's awesome.
It's where you get support from as well. Like it can be, like I said, it's isolating going after something by yourself.
Yeah. I go to Miami twice a year, and the theme behind the guys that I go there with to see, they own one of the biggest, I guess, mastermind groups for agencies from all around the world. Okay, so there's probably 300 and something odd agencies there, but the theme of it every time is iron sharpens iron. And it's so cool because you're there with your fellow people that are doing what you're doing, but are all at different levels. So you've got people, just starting, and then you've got people who have, 200 plus staff, and it's, there's learnings along the way. But if you're not in that room, you're not taking those learnings away. So that's a great takeaway that you learnt early on.
Yeah.
That's so as the business, as you start to think, right, because the business is just you.
No. So I have a small team.
No, but when you started, it was just you.
100%
Yeah. When did you decide? Like, because that's I think that's the challenge too. Is when do you decide to go, right? I'm now gonna. It's more than just me. Yeah, because it's a massive thing to go from just you, to then employing your first person.
Yeah, it's a real switch because I think you can. It depends on what you want. Like there's so many people, especially in like graphic design. So many freelancers, so many people who work from home, doing their own job by themselves, and it works for a lot of people. And maybe it works for graphic designers because a lot of us are like more introverted type, people, and that's great. But I'm someone who needs to like look after my ambition, as in like it will just run away, and I'll be like, I have a million dreams, I want to achieve them all, nothing will stop me, and that like real green naivety.
Yeah.
And so I have to really work hard to be realistic. Yeah, I don't know. I used to think that the business was going to be a happy lifestyle career.
Yep.
And then I would probably say it was like 2 or 3 years ago where I started achieving, I was achieving the goals that I wanted to. And I'm like, well, now I'm living what I thought was my end goal.
Yeah.
Which is a huge blessing
Yeah.
and amazing to say. But I wasn't that satisfied.
Yeah.
I was like, my personality type is always just push for more.
Yep.
And so in the past few years, I've just realized, no, actually, I don't really know what my end goal is. I know aspects of what I want this business to be, but all I know is that I want to keep pushing the envelope.
Mm.
I want
So-
to keep being better.
So are you driven by helping more people? Is that like
Yeah.
what you want to do?
Yeah. I'm not driven by scale. Like, I'm not
Yep.
driven by the size of my business. I think there's a creative satisfaction.
Yeah.
Like the more interesting businesses, more unique brands we can build, things
Yep.
that are really distinct in their industries.
Cool.
Really build brands that are really become really well known. Like that's
Yep.
the real vision. Like we're
Nice.
partnering with some small businesses now, and I'm like, you are not going to be small for long. Like because
That's
of clients
awesome.
at the moment. I'm like, even like with us with them, I think is a beautiful marriage of
Yeah.
something that can produce some cool results. And so, what has been a real beautiful thing for me, and especially in the past few years, is we having a lot of clients who really want to change up their industry or
Nice.
really want to create some sort of influence
I like
or bring some good back into something that's maybe has bad perceptions, things like that. And I'm like, I'm bought into this vision. I'm alongside with you.
I like it.
And so I'm really driven by the impact our clients can have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and nurturing that with them is
I'm a massive believer. If you just help other people get what they want, you'll always have what you want, right?
Oh,
Like, and
100%.
I see it all the time. What are some of the characteristics? Because I like what you said there. How do you know when a business is not going to be small for long? Like when you have that kind of gut feeling, you're going, right, what are some of the characteristics of a business that you see that you know that this is going somewhere?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it will be different for everybody. What I've noticed, part of it is to be real upfront. We always talk from one of the first conversations we have with our clients is, what's your goal?
Yeah.
Here's an end goal. What's your vision? Do you have a 5-year goal?
Yeah.
We just want to know what we're in for.
Yeah.
And so
Love it.
we have clients who are like, we're going to completely change this industry in all of New Zealand. We're going to change people's perceptions. We're going to change how the industry works. I'm like, great,
Yeah.
strap in. And so
Yeah.
that's where and then they'll have, so there's the vision part of it. And if they're really certain about it and they're willing to do the hard yards, there's the grit there of even when it's hard, even when things don't go away, this is still our vision and we're still going to keep to the goal, then that's really telling. I think the other side of it is the people. So for a business to have people who the business owners aren't getting in their own way, right? And that's really easy in business for you to be like, I can't achieve this because I don't have time. I can't achieve this because I don't have money. So much of the time, it's if you the right people in the room, they'll make you money. You're the right experts. You can't you'll wear lots of hats as a business owner, but you really got to know when to hire one of those hats out.
Totally.
And so the other
I reckon
part
that is the skill.
the people.
When you delegation, delegate, as my friend Tony would say. You have to look to employ your weakness, and understand where your weakness is, and also go, right, someone else's 80% is better than mine.
Know yourself.
And seriously,
Your expertise.
you've got to know what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Yeah, and where your time is best utilized. At the stage of business that I had, we're a small team. I'm way better utilized as a brand strategist than a graphic designer.
Yeah, totally.
And so I'm if it's strategic work, then that's me right now. Eventually I will hire that too. But there's you got to know where your time, you got to know where your time's being spent in the first place, and know what's actually valuable, what can't live without you.
Yeah.
But then also what can.
So good. When you're looking and dealing with these companies that, have goals and have a vision, what do you do to start helping them, reach that vision? What's your process? So, and I'm thinking of business owners here that are listening going, I have a vision, but I'm not sure how to bring it to life, especially from a creative and a brand strategy perspective. What do you guys do?
That's a really good question. So a lot of it is clarity. And we've found a lot of clients get so much value out of just documenting their vision and then having support in how to strategize and then support in the execution. And so sometimes we're with clients who they just they found clarity in the documentation of it in the first place. They're like, I never thought of it that way. Nobody's ever asked me these questions this way for me to think that through. And so what's really beautiful about, and I really, like I said, I really back our brand strategy process, is that it brings that clarity. And so there's a huge portion of the process where we are spending time with the client, understanding them and understanding their vision and their team and their service or product, and we go into their office or their space and we're just info gathering. And then the rest of that process is data gathering from external sources, and so we are using every tool in the toolkit to get information on their competitors and their target market, and we interview people, and there's just a lot of data gathering and desk research as well. And then we bring it all together into a
Nice.
strategic document. And so we're saying, well, this is the vision. This is what you told us. Here's what the landscape looks like of
Yep.
your competitors. Here's what the landscape looks like of your target market. Here's how we can craft your messaging. Here's how we can craft your visual direction. And it just beautifully leads into our creative work that way. But yeah, like I said, I think to answer your question in the first place, it's the support in like clarifying what you're after.
Yeah.
And then the strategic, how do you actually game it out?
Nice.
And then you've got to have support executing. And those are multiple different roles. I mean, even us as with Forme, we don't do every part of the execution, and so you got to know where you got to get the right people in the room for all stages along that journey as well.
I love it. Clarity is so key. Like getting clear, it could just be the most valuable thing you do in a business just by itself.
Yeah, totally.
What are some of the questions you ask business owners to get clear? If you're sitting down in front of a business owner today and or they're listening to this, what are some of the questions that you would ask them?
Depends on what the clarity is. If we're trying to get clear on a goal, like perhaps it's it's different depending on what we're working
What about
with.
positioning in the marketplace? They want to work on their positioning. Maybe they feel like they're losing market share.
Yeah.
And they need something. They don't understand what it is, but what are some of the questions you'd be asking them to give them that clarity?
Have you talked to a customer you've lost?
Nice.
Why did they leave?
Yeah.
And what are people saying about you? What do you think people perceive your business as? If they see you on a billboard, or if they drive past your office with your signage at the front, what is coming to mind? What are they assuming? And sometimes it's even those basic kind of questions of flipping the script and thinking from a consumer point of view.
Yeah.
Then, because it's so easy to become really insular in your business and really tunnel vision, that the moment that you start asking questions around what do other people think, why, like I said, why did that client leave, or why was this product returned?
Yeah.
Have you actually talked to people? Talk to people in the first place, or even bring up your website and show it to a rando. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You say, what do you think of this website? You'll get so much data.
Yeah.
So I think flipping the script is really an easy way to ask yourself some meaningful questions. And if you're welcoming of the harsh
I was going to say,
information.
wow. How do you get people to handle that feedback? Because, lots of people don't want to hear that sort of stuff though, right? And I think that's the difference between someone or a business that's really going to grow versus someone who's going to stay put, because the good ones are going to want that feedback.
Yeah, if you're unwilling to hear a hard truth, then you can't go anywhere. You're only going to be stagnant, because you're going to end up just being blind to the realities of what's going on in your world, and your competitors will be the ones who are willing to go the extra mile and understand what's happening in the market, and answer the questions and cater towards the needs. And so if you're not willing to hear it, I think, I'm maybe being a bit brutal, but you've got to get over yourself. You can't be that precious.
No, especially when it comes to where you are in the marketplace, because it could just be the fact that you are in the market, that's your position in the marketplace right now. And unless you really understand that, how can you move forward? I was in a restaurant in Nelson during the holidays, and a well-known New Zealand chain, and man, the service was rubbish. People were complaining, and I looked at the next day, and there were so many bad Google reviews. And I look at that and go, man, I'm really sad for that business. I look 5 days later, and those Google reviews were deleted. And I guarantee the owner of the business has bribed those people to take them down.
It's hard to get.
And how do I know that? Because he asked me to do the same.
Outrageous.
So but I was like, what are you learning here?
That's such short-termism.
Because you're not thinking about the real what's going on in the market.
No, you're gonna I don't know the chain you're talking about, so it doesn't really matter. But you're not gonna be able to grow as a business, and in fact, you're probably gonna shrink down and down
Yeah.
as people talk and even if the Google review isn't there anymore,
No, it doesn't. Like, people are still going to talk about it.
there's a million other factors that are
Yeah.
at play here that you've got to have every T crossed and every
Yeah.
I dotted.
And it's like not willing to sit in that uncomfortableness.
Mm.
I thought it was really, really interesting. Hey, so you talked about messaging. What part do you reckon messaging plays in building someone's brand? And then you talked about visual identity, which I'm really keen to talk about as well. But messaging, because I think it's so important. I think with AI now, I think if you're not standing for something, you're in a world of trouble, because you need to have your view and your unique view on what's going on in the marketplace, who you are, where you are, what you have to offer, and why people should do business with you. And if you're going to give that over to a lot now to AI and just not have your own voice, you're in trouble. Because I look at a lot of stuff. People coming to us now, what do you think about this? And I'm like, ugh, it's really, really vanilla.
Yeah.
I could take someone else's logo and put it on your logo, and that could be there,
Yeah.
and I
That's a
see it
dangerous
all the
place to
time.
be. That's a dangerous place to be. You can't gain any ground blending into the middle.
No.
You really can't. And most of the businesses that do that don't last
Yeah.
very long.
So what should a business owner be doing right now, 2026? They need to work on their message. What would you suggest to them?
Be clear about what you stand for.
Yep.
Like, I was talking with some clients of ours yesterday, like finessing their brand strategy, and we got to a point where we're seeing all these problems in their industry. We're going to call it out. Like,
Nice.
this brand's positioning is that here's the issues that the consumers already kind of feel, maybe haven't fully thought through. We're going to call it out and call it exactly how we're gonna address those problems. And so, you don't necessarily have to be that polarizing. There's a position for sure, but you have to be clear on a unique point of view, a unique difference. If you can't ask yourself why you're better or different than the guy next door who does the same thing, then you're just a sitting duck,
Yeah.
really.
So businesses should be looking and asking themselves, why are they better or different?
Yeah. I think that's a really easy entry level question.
Yep.
And if you're struggling to answer it,
Yeah.
then you kind of need to work backwards.
But the thing is, people will say, "Oh, we have better service."
Who cares?
But that's what you'll hear, right? We have better service.
How do your audience know that?
Yeah.
Does the consumer know that? Is it proven? Is it actually
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Have you talked to people?
Yeah.
Are all your staff on board with that? Or are
Yeah.
you just, as the one business leader, claiming that? Because that is awful.
Well, we have a better product.
Yeah. Again, do your consumers know that? Do they believe it?
Yeah.
Do people actually believe you when you say you're better? Because and that's where messaging comes into play. Just saying you're better doesn't make you better.
No.
It's got to be obvious in every brand touch point. It has to be conveyed through all your messaging, all your visual identity, your packaging, the customer service, the way it arrives at your doorstep, whatever it is. Every single touch point has to look and feel better than everybody else's.
Yeah. So, because I find it real interesting that business owners are too close. They're standing inside the picture. They're standing inside the frame. They can't actually see the picture.
Yeah.
So for them, when we ask them these questions, we get better service, better product. And it's like, okay, well, what does that actually mean to the customer, right? But what I find is once you start finding some of those insights that they never talk about, that's where the gold is, right?
Yeah, you did on.
And it's those little things. I was saying small hinges swing big doors, especially in marketing. It's always the little things that you can do that could open up another audience or another a stream of people just by understanding what your customers really, really want.
Yeah, I don't know if you've found you'll be in a meeting with a client and they'll make some throwaway comment in the middle of a big paragraph of a sentence and you're like, that's it. That's the piece. And that's the bottom line. That's the tagline.
We were with Little India. They've been a client of ours for probably 8 years now. I think about 3, 4, maybe 4 years ago, the team was doing some filming inside a restaurant. And one of the chefs mentioned that they don't use sugar in their curries. And I think one of the guys asked them, said, well, what do you use? And I was like, well, we use a cashew and tomato-based paste that we create. And then someone else said, well, does that make your curry sugar-free? So all of a sudden, we could advertise sugar-free curries, which was no one was saying that in the marketplace. And then all these people started asking, well, does that make your curry keto-friendly? And then that was really interesting. And then another topic came up because we started actively listening to the comments on the post that we were putting out about it. Do you do cauliflower rice? And it was like, cauliflower rice. No one was doing cauliflower rice at the time. Um, and we said to Arj, do you do cauliflower rice? What's that? Well, this is this new trend with keto and blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, we sell out of cauliflower rice.
Yeah, it's just like that little
You know,
nugget that just opens.
one little nugget. And now I ordered Little India the other night and I saw cauliflower rice is still on the menu. Normal rice is probably about $4. Cauliflower rice is $12. And people will buy cauliflower rice,
Yeah.
because it's a different category and people are buying it for different reasons. And I think that's those little insights sometimes, because I guarantee if we went in the room, that wouldn't have been heard, and it's not that we were better than anyone or anything like that. It's like we're just listen for it. And I think that's the benefit of using a company like yourself, because you're going to ask those questions that most business owners will never think of.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And then the other side of that, like really great example, is that being in tune with like culturally what's happening and what conversationally is happening in your market.
Yeah.
Because that's an opportunity,
Yeah.
like the cold keto thing really has
It
brought
was massive 4 years ago.
Yeah,
It was
actually the
huge.
cauliflower rice thing's a part of that. And so like when you see the opportunity, when you know what people are caring about and what's influencing people's decision making.
Yeah, especially on socials. Like you can actually get a lot of information just by going and reading comments.
Great data source.
Yeah, especially competitors. Like if I would say to anyone, if you've got competitors, go and read the comments on the competitors' ads. Like you can easily find their ads.
Read their reviews. What are they missing?
Oh, exactly. But it's stuff that you can get for free. Like
Yeah.
it's just market research.
100%. A big part of like our brand strategy. I spend time on Reddit only when I've done brand strategy work.
Funny.
Because of what people are talking about.
Yeah.
Specific topic.
Yeah.
It's insightful, man. I mean, the average members of the public, they have some stuff to say. And
Yeah.
so, as long as you're listening, you can gather that data and use it to your advantage.
Yeah. What have you seen? Have you seen like some real cool, how messaging has affected a business? Have you got some, you don't have to name names, but if you do, you want to, some examples of success stories where you've seen, just tweaking that message can really, grow a business and help a business?
Yeah, I think if you can remember a brand's messaging,
Yeah.
if you can think of a single brand
Yeah.
of something you buy perhaps, and you immediately think of them for the way they use words, then that's such a power move.
Yeah.
Because it's a missed opportunity. A lot of business decision makers are thinking, we need to work on our brand. They're looking at their logo, their color palette, their website.
Yeah.
Okay, but a huge part of that is the written word, and that's also your brand.
Yeah.
So if you're just using ChatGPT, just using the same words, they're in
Yep.
your category, we're professional, we work with integrity, we have better service. Okay, yeah, so does everybody.
Yeah.
If you can harness the written word, use a professional copywriter.
Yeah.
And who understands like your brand's positioning, and who can use brand strategy as a information point for where you how you go about the written copy, then that's your way to be memorable.
One cool campaign that comes to mind for me is Kit Kat. Take a break.
Yes.
So that was a real simple thing. Like their sales had tanked, right? So they bought in Kit Kat, take a break, but they visually paired it with coffee, and sales went up because people would start who were having a coffee would have a Kit Kat.
Associating Kit Kat with
Yeah, so they started taking a break, having a coffee and having a Kit Kat. Their sales went through the roof.
Yeah.
Because they associated the two of them together, and that it was okay to take a break, and it was okay to have chocolate when you took a break. And I was like, that's genius,
That's
right?
awesome. And that's
I wish I'd thought of that.
100%. Don't we all? That's a really good example of the there's probably a name for it, but that marketing tactic of the association. We've got daily habits, we've got certain things we do. If you can create associations with your product or service with something that already exists in people's lives naturally, like having a coffee break.
Yeah.
Then,
Well,
yeah.
Rose's chocolate was another famous one for it. Rose's associated themselves to the word thank you. So when you wanted to say thank you, you gave Rose's
the natural
chocolates,
and it becomes a
and it becomes a thing. So people would start to say thank you and give roses, and like I've done that.
Yeah.
I've given Rose's chocolate as a thank you, so all of a sudden that association is very, very powerful to help you just make sales because that's the thing you should be doing, right?
100%. And if you're the first person, if you can successfully do that as the first person in your category to do that,
Yep.
then that's such an awesome
Yeah.
power.
Hey, it's 2026. You're listening to this podcast and you've probably heard of AI. So here's what I want you to do. We've created a free playbook that'll actually help you with AI and help your business get recommended. So all you need to do is go to the show notes or the link that's in this video, and I'll send you this playbook for free.
How do smaller brands do that, like a smaller business or a medium-sized business? Because it's easy. You could look at it and say, "Oh, it's easy for big brands. They have the budgets to do that sort of stuff." How do like medium-sized mums and dad businesses do that sort of stuff?
I don't think everything comes down to budget.
True.
I think you
Tell me more.
a little bit of creative thinking goes a really long way.
Yeah.
And so, like, why do you need budget to become associated with something else? I think it's
Do you think businesses and people in this world we live in now are not doing the creative thinking?
Yeah. I would say there's especially now with AI, there's a lot of defaulting going on.
Yeah.
And I think, well, that's why, creative agencies, plug for us, but, creative agencies are valuable because they're people who are really trained in thinking creatively for your business. Because you're a business owner, you're a builder or whatever you are, you're not necessarily thinking in that way.
You're
And
good
so
at doing the whacking and the cracking of your
Exactly.
business, right?
Exactly. And so that's why you got to have the right people in the room. And all of these, if you've got good support and you've got a good agency, they'll be able to tell you whether it's going to be worth the investment in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to bring all your decision making back to, research your target market, research your competitors, have some data, go to Stats NZ, find
Yeah.
some data, and you'll be able to be pretty sure that we're not just assuming that this, creative marketing move might work. Yes, there's a bit of trial and error, but if you're basing your decision making on some hard data, then I think you can assess whether the risk is
Yeah.
worthwhile.
A lot of people, what I've seen in the past, they come to us and it's product first thinking. So they've thought of the product, and you kind of start to ask them hard questions, and you can hear that they haven't thought about any of that. Then you find out, oh well, we're getting a website built, and we're getting this and this built, and I'm like, how much are you spending on that? And next minute they're $80,000 in, and I'm like, whoa. One thing you actually need is to talk to people.
Yeah.
You actually need an order form and go and talk to people and see if they actually would want to buy your product.
That's a real thing.
You know?
And I think because it's a lot of industries and a lot of businesses got a pretty easy entry point. Like you
Totally.
can get into it. And so there are some spaces where they're quite crowded at the smaller business levels. But I think with a lot of things, what's missed is just testing the market. If you're going to be investing your life savings into a business, or if you're, investing a lot of business savings into something, don't be afraid to test the market a little bit with it first.
Yeah.
You would test the market with your messaging, with your brand identity. Depends on the scenario. We've got some clients that we are doing that for. We don't do it with everybody, but we do test how certain messaging lands with their, target market. We'll do a platform test, do the small scale first, do like an MVP, get some people on it,
Nice.
get some
What's an MVP? Just for
sorry,
listeners?
minimum viable product.
Yep.
The absolute basic
Yep.
version of whatever it
Nice.
is.
So you don't have to build the full thing.
No,
Let's get something
get some
going.
feedback,
Get
because
some
it'll
feedback.
change your, you could say, well,
Mm.
this is the full scope of what we would say. It's like a web platform. This is the full scope of what we want to build on our vision. But if no one's ever used it, reel it right back to the MVP.
Yeah.
And then get some randos, get some target market on it, get some feedback.
Just not your auntie.
Not your mum. Your
No, that's not.
sister.
I always say to people, go and talk to people that can or could give you money if they wanted. All of a sudden they
That's the
go,
point.
"Ooh, I want to buy this."
Yeah.
You've got something. I had a lady come to us. I don't know how many years ago, maybe 11 years ago. I just finished. I was doing consulting and sold a business. I was doing consulting, got a couple of things a week, and this lady had spent, I think she'd spent 40 grand. She had a beautiful website. She had a sign written card, looked mint. She had brochures and she had business cards. And she says, "Got one thing I don't have is sales." And she goes, I want to know why, And I said, well, let's just look at everything. And then you look at her target market, and I was like, well, is that your target market? And she was like, yeah, that's my target market. I was like, cool. So how many of those people have you spoken to? And she'd said none.
Yeah.
The website people, the graphic people, they'd taken that money, but no one had spoken to anyone. And
Yeah.
look, if they just got out and got her to go speak to some people, reality is she went out and spoke to people because I said, look, go and speak to 10 people. I think I said told her 12. Don't know why I said 12. But anyway, don't come back and see me until you do have done it. And in fact, don't actually talk to me ever again unless you do it, which was pretty brutal. But I didn't, anyway, long story short, she goes and talks. 8 people buy from her. She's in her 3rd business now,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. You could be one conversation away from really finding out why people would buy your product.
Yeah.
And then you can use that in your marketing, in your advertising, in your branding.
It's such a common thing. And unfortunately, a lot of agencies do this where they're making decisions for their client or with their client based on assumptions. And that's so dangerous.
Yeah.
So you and I could sit here and say, oh, we feel like, this product's just going to land with this target market that we assume is out there based on our own worldview and the people we talk to. That's cool, but we're just 2 people.
Yeah.
Like you need to have some data, some information, some conversations, some insights to make decisions. Otherwise, it is the assumptions of the business owner and their creative agency.
And also, your mum can't afford to buy from you again and again and
Your
again.
mom's just going to validate everything you say
Yeah,
to her.
totally.
It's not going to be yeah.
It's so true though.
Um,
But because look, we have seen people come back, I don't like this, don't like that, or who did you talk to? And they, But anyway, so minimum viable product is real key. Now, I want to chat to you about a couple of things because you had this saying, and I read it on your LinkedIn, and I really wanted to talk to you about it.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, don't worry, I've gone deep into LinkedIn here.
Cool.
But it was around culture, and you've said here, brand is culture is brand.
Yes.
Tell me more, because I'm really interested to learn more about your thoughts on this, because I have some opinions on it as well, but I want to hear what you've got to say.
Right. Well, so it's easy for us to think about brand, like I said earlier, as being your logo, your colors, your fonts, your website, kind of that sort of thing, which is not untrue, but it's such a small proportion of what brand actually is. The best definition of brand that I've ever come across is brand is the way people feel when they interact with your business. That could be as basic as they drive past and see your signage. They see a billboard, they're on your website, they're a customer, they're opening up your product at home. All of these things are your brand. So the way that person feels, the assumptions they have about you, even if they're not a customer yet, any kind of subconscious that we take in so much. I'm really getting on my soapbox here. We're taking in so much information into our subconscious constantly through our whole lives.
Yeah.
And we're not always consciously thinking through all of the brand messages, all the advertising, all of the things that our brains are taking in. And so that's what makes up our gut instinct. Like you'll have a gut instinct about you go onto somebody's website and you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm vibing this.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's super trustworthy, for instance. That's your gut instinct made up of a whole bunch of little pieces of information that your subconscious is putting together and being like, this is not vibing. This is not quite it. And so that's why I'm really on a tangent here, but that is essentially your brand. And so this is why details matter with your business, because the details are going to accumulate into what people think and feel and assume.
Nice.
And that becomes something either you're easy to buy from because everything is pointing to, yes, trustworthy, it's what I'm after, it gels, or not. And that's really important. And that also is what creates pricing power. So pricing power is the ability for a business to charge more for the same product that other people are charging much less for. That leverage comes from brand building. And so it comes from all of those little pieces. And so the culture part of that is that your staff, your team, the people who represent your business, the culture that the business has, that represents your brand. So you could make a brand strategy and you could say, this is who we are and this is what we're all about. But if your staff are not representing that or on board or imbuing that in everything that they do, then the culture and the brand are not aligned.
Yeah.
And,
And that's when people can tell right straight away, right?
100%. Yeah. And that's something isn't quite sitting right. I don't entirely trust this. And now as a listener, you become really aware of that when you you know, you see brands all the time, you'll now be consciously thinking through, oh, what is my subconscious actually picking up here?
Yeah.
And then that's the work of a brand strategist, really.
Because people will buy it from people they know, like, and trust, right?
That's it.
And I look at know as in character. What is it? What character do you want to show up in the world? You know, for me, it's about being useful and helpful, right? I want to be known as a company that's useful and helpful, but also celebrate your victories. That's why we created the hashtag celebrate your victories. We like to be known as someone who celebrates success. Like is about chemistry. Now, the beautiful thing is you can build chemistry in your brand as part of your culture. And I think that's, that is something that is so misunderstood by people. And it could be as simple as, using a dog in your marketing because you're a dog lover. Because dog lovers love dog lovers, right?
Yeah.
People who love dogs. So the chemistry there between them creates that like. And then
Something in common.
yeah, and then you have the trust. Well, trust is huge in business, right? And trust is about demonstrating credibility. So how do you demonstrate credibility, in your brand and in your culture? Well, one of the ways is you do podcasts, right? You come across talking to people, which is not AI generated, and people get to know you over time, and you demonstrate your credibility by sharing your insights. And I think there's so many opportunities for businesses to do that because, people might not think this is brand, but it is. It's brand building. And I know other people will watch this and decide to do business with us because of this, because they'll get the know, like, and trust and the feel
Yeah.
of our culture from just even watching this.
100%. I think something that's not talked about enough is the lever that relationships and human interaction have in sales
Yep.
and in the bottom line. Like, you can completely diminish your brand's reputation by the way that you spoke to somebody about your business, or you can do the opposite and build that. And this is why referrals and word of mouth are such heavy lifters for a lot of businesses, because that interpersonal interaction is such a strong lever in brand association, and
Yeah.
people will forget, your website user experience absolutely sucks
Yeah.
if they trust you as a person and
Yeah.
have met you.
Yeah. How do you, because, brand is culture, culture is brand. How do you get across to a business owner that maybe their culture is not their brand?
Yeah.
Because they might have the brand as culture, but like that part here is not firing.
Yeah, I mean, that's when it starts to get really inward focused, right? And so one part of our strategic work with our brand strategies is like documenting or defining what the internal culture actually
Nice.
ideally looks like. And it's up to the business owner. Like we're a creative agency. We don't have a lot of say or hand in the actual team dynamics, but at least at a strategic level, we're working with the business leaders saying, well, here's what the culture is externally, as in here's what we want people who interact with the business to feel and assume and think. And then there's the inward focus. Here's what we want our team and our staff to feel and the culture we want. So we put words around it. We say, okay, we want our team to feel a sense of belonging within our company. Okay, great. What does that look like? Let's create some like rituals or some cultures or some activities like you guys have with our team that creates that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And so that sense of belonging is felt externally.
Because unless a business owner makes those changes, the mismatch is gonna be too big for it to work. Because I think like we are moving into a time where the culture and how your people show up in the world is going to be so important, because like it or not, robots are coming, but people are going to get sick of it. Like I really think people will get
It's
sick.
not going to be a sustainable setup. It's all going to come down right back to humans. People are already the most important thing, and it's only going to become more so.
Yeah. So the more you can have and work on your culture and have it part of your brand, you win. I know from our perspective, we do videos, the team does videos, all that sort of stuff. It's amazing how many people, like recognize them and like even we did interviews last week. And like, oh, you're the person for the videos, and then they see someone else in the office. Oh, I love your videos.
That's why videos are helpful because you can really convey culture through it. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I've got another one.
Go.
Because I love this, and you were talking about how um, marketing simplicity can save your budget. And you gave a good example of how on a pizza, you only really need 2 toppings, which were tomatoes and cheese. Well, some people would say pineapple, but hey, we want to go there. Um, but I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, what did you mean by that? And I know you gave it, some good examples of it. Around, people, certain people are looking to buy now, and there's certain, and some people are only focusing all their budget on those people.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of other people that aren't buying.
Yeah. So this is a well-researched statistic.
Yeah.
And it differs on industry, so it's worth looking into it for your own industry. But in general, across the board, only 5% of consumers of your market are actually in the market to buy from you right now. So if you're only running campaigns and all your messaging is about click here, buy now, get in contact with us, you're only talking to 5% who are actually ready to do that anyway. And so you think about like iPhones, mobile phones, not iPhones, all phones, all brands. And you think, okay, the average person's probably not going to buy every probably 5 years. I don't know actually what the statistic is, but there's one proportion of people who are actually researching different like phone specs, like storage and the camera qualities and all that sort of thing.
Totally.
That's on average 5% of the market are actually looking at those. So if all your marketing and messaging is around benefits and inclusions and we're better than the next person, you're speaking to that small percentage. The 95% is your brand building. 95% is building awareness that you exist in the first place, building likability, know, like, and trust, so that when that 95% eventually come into the market of what you offer, you're the first business they think of. They already trust you. They already feel good about you. And so it's a really easy lift for them to be like, that. I mean, you don't even always look at the benefits of something before you buy. You just already know of them, and you already know you want to buy from them. And so you'll think about that now as you think through like, what's the next like heat pump brand I think of, and so there'll be, when you need a heat pump, there'll be probably 1 or 2 brands that come to mind.
Well, look, as a business owner, your goal is to grow market share. The way to grow market share is through mind share. How do you build mind share? Well, it's long-term thinking, because if you're only just going after that 5%, you're missing the 95%.
It's a long game. It is a long game. And so you can't, that's why short-termism will kill your business. If you're only thinking about the now, and that's why you'll probably get inquiries from people who are saying like, I just need to get sales now. Like, we can help.
Do you know what I call that?
What?
I call it the 90-day nightmare.
Tell me.
Well, businesses are in for that short-term period, right? They, they've been led to believe by, some agencies that they'll get results in 90 days, and they were even guaranteeing it, and then
It's the danger of the guarantee.
and then business owners weren't getting that, but they weren't brave enough to call on the guarantee. And at the end of the day, they would go, their thinking was too short-term, so they miss
You're
that
going to run out of people to sell to.
when you miss that 95%. There's a really good book written by a guy called Chet Holmes. He wrote The Ultimate Sales Machine, and Chet actually wrote it in 2007. He passed away in 2012. But it was a really good insight into, there was a pyramid he created, and it was exactly that. It was 3 to 5% of people that are buying now, and what you should be doing and he called it education-based marketing. And that was before Gary Vee and all that made it famous. Like, but it was really, really interesting. There is a time of year that gets flipped though. You know what time of year that is? Christmas. People go into buying mode, right? And it's really interesting when people go to buying mode. So that's when if you're in that mode, you have to be on. Because you get a shot at it. And the crazy part about it now, buying mode's been extended because of Black Friday. Because they actually don't have Boxing Day sales in America.
Australia, New Zealand thing.
Yeah. Because we go on holiday. Most people in America go back to work Boxing Day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So like the practical application of that actually is, because I think it can be quite hard for people who are not in the brand space or the marketing space to think, well, what does brand marketing actually look like?
Yeah.
And so what you want to be doing, you can simplify marketing into the converting the in the market now people, and building like trust with the people who are yet to come into the market. And so you need to be doing both at the same time always, as spending money and energy and investment into both of those types of marketing. And so the brand marketing can be anything that is building this likability. And so that it doesn't matter what the medium is. It could be billboards, it could be social media, it could be podcasts, it could be anything. It's investment into this is who we are, this is what we're all about, this is why we're better or different, and that this is our culture, and this is just all the good feelings and coolness about us. And then the rest of it is that these are our benefits. This is the product specs, and buy now, click here.
I love it. Hey, I'm going to put you on the spot because we've been going for nearly 50 minutes and we're going to wrap this up.
Cool.
If you were starting a business today, what advice would you give yourself? And what are the 5 things you'd do to make sure you hit the ground running? And I know you'll put you on the spot there.
Goodness, that really is on the spot. I think I would make sure that I am spending dedicated time and energy on talking to people, networking,
Nice.
tell people what you're doing.
About your idea? Like what
About
you
the
think?
idea when you're starting the business, and this is who we are, and like talk to people, be unashamed about it. Like when I first started, I was like too shy. I was like, oh, I don't really feel like I'm qualified to be doing this in the first place.
I think that's a good point. Let's just capture that, because who says you're not qualified, and I think that's the barriers we put on ourselves, right? And we actually buy into the stories that we start telling ourselves. And I think if we can just get through that and over that, the world would be a better place. Because actually, what if, and this is, I think I was interviewing Marg Foster, and she made a point. She goes, well, Scott, what if it all works out? And I thought that's a great thing to ask, right? Yeah. What if it all works out? Because as a lot of times we think, oh, this and that, and it might not go. But what if it did? And challenge yourself on that.
Yeah, that's really good. That's gold. I mean, on that, I would say the best thing that has come out of like business coaching for me in my life in the past like 2-3 years is confidence.
Nice.
Like I struggled with feeling like I'm not qualified enough because I didn't finish my degree. I haven't been in the industry long enough.
I didn't even go to university.
There you go. I'm half the age of my clients. Like all these things you tell yourself.
Totally.
And so I struggled with the imposter syndrome for so long that I've really grown out of that in the past few years, and had a lot of, support of people saying like, oh, you're actually good at what you do.
So you got some mentoring and help with that?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I would say my business.
Everybody needs a coach.
Everybody.
Who's your business coach?
His name's Jason Tiller.
Nice. Everybody needs it.
Full time is not business coach.
Yeah.
But he's amazing at it, and he really should do it full time. But he was the first person who was not my family to say, you are good at what you do.
Nice.
And I was like, I didn't realize the need to hear that.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, on that, confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence is everything, because it's what gives you the ability to put yourself out in the first place, to have the conversations, to say, I can do this, I'm good at this. There's...
Look, your job now as you employ more people is to give that to them, right? To give them the confidence.
I say this every day.
Because here's the thing, I've done a lot of coaching over the years, and especially with kids and cricket and stuff. And you'll see a young kid, and you just know that no one's told him that anyone believes in him. And like I used to say, hey, started this over, I really believe in you, and here's what you're going to do. And I know just someone saying that they believe is and I always say to people, look, you don't have to believe in yourself right now. All you need to know is I believe in you. And that's real powerful, especially with your team and stuff, because that's what happened here.
Yeah.
Someone actually said to you, hey, you're good at what you do, even though you didn't believe it. And I think that's a gift you can give other people.
100%. So before I hired people, I would do like one-off projects. I would outsource to other graphic designers that I trusted. And it was really interesting for the first time to start leading other designers. And I realized really quickly that, the confidence that I needed and grew into, the moment that I say to people, you already have this in you, it's just that you don't, like, there was moments with some designers where I was like, you don't feel like I can tell you're not confident enough in this, but I know that you can do it.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been really rewarding to work with my team on now, because I know that with graphic design execution, it's all in confidence.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much that impacts the final result.
Yeah. And confidence, like it's a muscle, right? The more you build, the more you build that up, the more confident you get. And not to be arrogant in a way, but when
There's a line there.
yeah,
for sure.
when you know what you're doing, be confident about it.
Back yourself, because I mean, there's plenty of people in our industry that I just confidence, like the most confident people we've ever seen, and they win so much business because of it.
Yeah,
It's
true.
amazing. So I mean, to answer your actual question, the 5 things I would do.
You've got up to number. You need number
Which-
3.
what- I've forgotten what we
No,
said.
you've done 2. So you've spend more time talking to people, and then I put build confidence, get a coach.
Get a coach. Yeah.
You're going to hit the
That's-
ground running if you do that. Those 2 things,
Yeah.
by the way.
Talk to people, as
Yeah.
in beyond the first point,
Mm.
like test the market.
Yeah.
Test the market. And there's ways to do that without spending money on
Yep.
testing the market. Just, you've got to get some
Get an order form.
feedback.
Get an order form.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of things that you could do. There's a lot of things, and I just forgot.
What are you going to do? What's number 4?
Do? What am I going to do if I started?
So look, how quickly would you get out on social media and start
Instantly.
like
Build in public.
Yep.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. Especially at the moment, people like it builds that like know, like, and trust.
Yep.
That you can fail in public and it's actually okay. Like, I think you can be really afraid to do things imperfect online, but that is what's gonna have so much leverage, especially
Yep.
as we move into more and more AI.
Yeah.
Being human and the right amount of like just authentic, honest, like, we tried this and it failed, and this is what we're working on at the moment. Like, you can build such a following and awareness and likability before you've even launched. And
Yeah.
there's some really great examples of that on socials at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any come to mind for you?
Have you ever heard of Kinzo? They are in Sydney and they're building an app.
Yep.
And they haven't even launched yet, and they've got a huge social following.
Wow.
They've gone viral. All their team members have like social accounts.
Nice.
And so they're a really good example that I'm following along at the moment, because I'm like, these guys are doing such a good job of
Love that.
and they've not even launched, and they've got a wait list of like heaps.
What does Kinzo do?
It's an app that combines like all your socials and messaging into one
Primo.
place. That's
Right.
what I know of it.
I'm going to go and have a look. So build in public. What's the last one?
Have we got the people that you hang out with?
Yep. Oh, no.
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 Yeah, because we talked about networking stuff. Like, find friends, find social circles that you could say, this is iron
So
sharpens.
where are you going to do that to iron sharpens iron? Do you have anywhere in particular that you go to as far as, groups and stuff that you belong
Really
to?
lucky. So you might have some good points on this. I've been really lucky to stumble across friends
Mm.
that are in business, and now I have a lot of friends in business.
Yep.
And it all kind of bleeds into
Yeah.
finding more people like that. But Christchurch has so many awesome like networky that doesn't feel like networky.
Yeah.
Good networky,
Yeah.
genuinely helpful, supportive,
Yeah.
like-minded people.
Yeah. It's important to get around like-minded people. It's important to get around people thinking a little bit different as well. But also have that mindset, a growth-focused mindset. You don't want to get in an environment where you're talking with other people that don't have that will to grow, because they won't understand.
It'll flatten your enthusiasm in
yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
It really will. You've got to have grit, and you've got to have people who will walk with you in the hard times, because the reality is business can look really beautiful and pristine and joyous on social media, and it is, but it's also so damn hard.
Yeah.
You go through so much hardship, because if you're doing anything meaningful, you're putting in time and energy and often risk to do something, and anything that's meaningful to do, there's going to be some hardship.
Yeah.
You'll go against the grain of it.
And a lot of times you're doing the work when no one's watching, right? Like I remember when my first business, I was up at 3 a.m. trying to work some things out, and then back at work at 8.
Yes.
It was brutal.
You have to be
But-
willing to put in more
Yeah,
hours than
yeah,
anybody else.
yeah. And now, you employ people and you just realize, but you couldn't do that at the time. That was where it was at, and you had to go through that. Which is what I love, celebrating victories. I love it when people are winning. I love it when people have ideas and they start to come to fruition. And I love it. You know, I always say to people, if you choose us, we're on your team.
Yeah.
And my team, results not reasons is one of our core values. We will push to win and help you win.
Yeah, it should be a partnership, not a transaction.
Yeah.
With everybody who's helping
Yeah.
you in business,
Yeah.
it should be a partnership, and it
Yeah.
should feel like they're in it with
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And that's the coolest part. When you find people that are, man, you can become unstoppable, which is kind of awesome.
100%.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. Do you only have one other piece of advice that you'd give a business owner thinking about, creating a brand?
Invest in brand.
Nice.
It's challenging to. I think a lot of business owners and leaders find it hard to quantify it, but you should be able to quantify
Yeah.
brand. And so it's such an underleveraged tool for a lot of businesses. You think if only you spent some time and energy in looking at your brand,
Yeah.
and crafting how that's going to play out, it would completely change the trajectory of the business.
So good.
And it's proven to.
So given that, how do people get hold of you? And how do you engage with people?
How do I engage with people?
Like, do people, you do a phone call? Do you do a conversation to start with? How
I
do you?
mean, if you're in Christchurch, I want to buy you coffee,
Nice.
and I love a good chat about business, and it doesn't have to be. It can be obligation free. Otherwise, we jump on the phone. I jump on the phone all the time with people around New Zealand, around the world.
Yep.
And the goal really is to hear about you and what you're wanting, what the problem is, where you're actually headed. Maybe you don't know what the problem is, but you know where you want to head and you need help. And that's where we support and we execute on the parts that are our expertise, and we can refer.
Sweet. So your website, what's
Yep. www. It's not actually www. That was a very default thing.
it?
Creative.co.nz. That's
Yep.
Forme, FRRME, creative.
And on LinkedIn, we'll put your LinkedIn click profile on the show notes, because I think you've got some really cool videos. You've got some really good Q&A stuff happening on your LinkedIn profile. So, and this will be on LinkedIn, no doubt. So, hey, by the way, if you do see this podcast on LinkedIn or Instagram, one thing I want you to do is share it. We've gone through some really cool stuff today.
Yeah.
We've shared a bunch of things for business owners that can really, really work. And maybe I always say you're one conversation away, and maybe you're one conversation away, and having it with Isla and her team could help you just find that insight, find what will actually open a bigger door for you in 2026. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's
All
been really fun.
Awesome. Okay, your job now. Share the podcast. We are getting up in the rankings again. Top 1, top 2, 3 in New Zealand for marketing pretty consistently now. But that only happens because of you. It only happens because you're sharing the podcast. And I love it. People are asking me questions all the time on Instagram and on LinkedIn about it. And it's amazing. One thing I always find is amazing. There'll be heaps of people, they look at stuff, but they never give it the like or the comment but they'll private message you. And I think that's the coolest part too. So you can actually help people. So please share the podcast, because the New Zealand business community needs to be stronger, and they actually probably need to hear this message. So go out there, have fun, take action, and as always, celebrate your victories.